At the beginning of your journey to wealth creation, you can easily get swayed and destroy your investment because at the beginning stages, compounding is not felt. But the 500,000 mark is a very crucial point in your investment journey. Hitting a million shillings in your investment vehicle does not make you a millionaire. It is just the starting of your millionaire journey or your freedom journey. You become a millionaire or you attain the millionaire status having assembled a wealth, a pool of assets that are generating at least a million shillings in income. So the assembled assets, the amount that you have invested, having hit a million does not make you a millionaire. It is the outputs, the incomes that are generated by that pool of assets that makes you a millionaire. So think of how much you need to have assembled in an investment as your pool of assets to be able to generate a million shillings passively. That is the wealth that will make you a millionaire. Choosing your freedom number, which is that future time when you can start enjoying your freedom, where financial freedom is the absence of fear resulting from finances, that your life no longer worries about the money. Once you have established your freedom number, then you are able to calculate backwards the amount that you need to have assembled by that time so that you are able to get your target incomes, the millionaire income. Welcome to our today's video where we are looking at the importance of the 500,000 mark and the reason why hitting a million mark is very important. We shall be discussing those points after 3 seconds short break, so don't go away. In the meantime, as always, remember to give a like to this video and let's engage in the comment section. See you after 3 seconds short break. Welcome back to our importance of the 500,000 mark and the reason we must push and strive to hit the 1 million mark. When you are starting your investment journey and you are able to put whatever amount you're doing, and we are picking an example of a tiny amount, you're beginning with a 1,500 shillings in a money market fund that is compounding on a daily basis, you are likely getting on a daily basis about 50 cents or thereabout. So you need 2 days to make a shilling in addition to the 1,500 that you will have deposited in that account. So over time, you may not notice, while you are aware that the system compounds your investment on a daily basis, the compounding may not be felt for quite some time because compounding being the element where the interest that you are generating from the investment also starts bearing interest and thereby giving you the much needed acceleration in the growth of the capital. Capital is what you put into that investment, and the interests that are generated for compounding purpose will be added to the amounts that you have yourself accumulated, increasing the capital amount. And therefore, every other day, the beginning of the day, the total amount that were in that account in the previous day plus the interest for the previous day forms the new capital for the new day. So the absence of that compounding being felt or lack of compounding at the early stages of our investment is one major reason why we don't grow fast in growing our capital. This capital or the wealth at any given point, because the capital that we are growing, that is still our wealth. Those are our assets. We don't get to grow fast. The acceleration of that growth is slow. And that is one reason why we don't grow that quickly. The other reason why we get to grow slow or challenged in our wealth creation is our low income power. The reason we are putting such small amounts into your investments could mainly be because of low incomes, because you still have to live as we do our investments. Your income is your power in wealth creation. In many cases, we give away our power, our incomes to many unnecessary things, and at some bad times, we commit our incomes to bad debts. That means we give away our power for wealth creation and tie our incomes for quite some time to such bad debts, drawing our power away, and that gives us low income power is another important reason for our slow growth in our investments. Those two reasons can be taken care of, or we can minimize them over time if we understand or we take this concept in wealth creation or growing our capital. And we'll take the word growth and capital to explain this part. Wealth, read it as simply as your assets. That is your wealth. And assets is everything that you are owning or everything in your possession. So that when we take away what belongs to other people but it's in your possession, or what you are legally bound to pay out from your assets, then whatever is left after you have given away what is not yours, that becomes net. So the total assets that you have, those are your gross assets. And we have said read the word assets as wealth. So when we say your net worth, we are referring to your net assets, the balance of assets in your possession once you have given away the assets that don't belong to you. So simply, that is what we call net worth. The assets that net belong to you. Therefore, our wealth creation, growing our wealth, we will take now the term growth. And from that word growth, we will use each letter in that word to give a meaning to what we need to have done or to do in order to take care of those two reasons why we find it difficult growing our wealth. And the first letter is G for growth. And that one would stand for your control of money, controlling your finances. And for it, we say gain control of your finances, get control of your money. Most people, they will tell you or they will argue out they don't know where their income or their money went immediately they received their salary. You receive your salary on 2nd, and by 5th, you have nothing left and you cannot tell where that money went. That is mere lack of control over your money. That is what in our previous video we talked about as financial incontinence. Lack of voluntary control over your money, because you need to be able to channel or direct your money, your income to specific goals. You need to direct where your income goes. And you can achieve that one simply by adopting the use of basic financial tools like a budget. Most people find a budget being overrated or an old-fashioned term, but a budget is a simple financial tool that can help you in acquiring control over your money. The other one could be automating your systems so that at least your incomes get automatically directed to specific goals or targets. That is control over your money. Then, one we have done with G, we will look at her. Her, we will now looking at investment. Once you have attained control, and a part of your direction of money is to investments and savings, that regular investment and saving will be acquired through R, where we will talk of rooting your investments, grounding your investments. Then O is very important for any person because we have two main sources of active incomes. Either it's through employment or you are doing business, either self-employment or whatever form of business that you're doing. And the incomes that we get, the active incomes that we get from those two forms of our engagement are taxable or would require you to optimize your tax management. There are so many avenues within the tax laws out of which you can minimize the amount that you are giving away as taxes. Tax avoidance is allowed in law and it requires you to know the loopholes within the tax laws that you can capitalize on to reduce your tax obligations. Get know the incentives that are available that you can capitalize on and reduce your taxes and therefore creating much more disposable income on your side that you can target for your investments and savings. Then we have W. W will require you to weed off your debts. Take care of your debts. Debts are some of the forms through which we lose our power, our incomes, which we are supposed to be using for growing our assets, that is wealth. Once you have acquired the control, you have rooted your investments, and you are optimizing your tax management, then you need to work to reduce or clear your debts. And you can adopt a method or an approach like the snowball approach and use it to work on a plan to clear off your debts. Then we have T. Reliance on a single income is very risky. To maximize and take care of the reason or the challenge that we talk of our low income power, you need to target or tap into multiple streams of income. Tap into system, tap into skills that are going to give you additional streams of income, thereby creating more money, more higher incomes to channel to investments. And lastly, but the most important of all, is work on your money discipline. Heighten, H, heighten your money discipline. Work on models that put you into strict discipline when it comes to money. If we apply all those targets from that word of growth, then we'll be able to grow our wealth by building our assets. The 500,000 mark, if you are to subject a capital of 500,000 to a 10% return, you'll be talking of 50,000 in a year. 50,000 alone, if you were to subject it to a 10% return, it will give you a definite interest of 5,000 in a year. That in turn, if you were to subject it to a 10% return, would also give you a definite amount. So that tells you that at the 500,000 mark, somebody will start feeling this one at 200,000, 300,000. But a good place is that 500,000 mark. Compounding becomes a reality and you start feeling it. In the lower stages of investment, where you have the 10,000, the 100,000, you'll get to hear a lot of noise that 100,000 could have given you higher, more money from doing a side hustle or any other form of investment, including some get rich quick schemes that can easily derail you and destroy that investment while risking everything. And if you are patient enough and you are focused on your freedom number, your goal, and you build, very soon you start realizing and feeling. You start feeling the effects of compounding. And it's a point where you start feeling the effects of compounding. There are several other things that start cropping in, including a level of confidence that engulfs you as an investor. The further importance of their millionth mark. Once you are hitting a million, it may have taken quite some time. For some people, even a decade. Take an example of a person putting in only 5,000 in a month, 8,000 in a month, 2,000 in a month. To hit a million in your accumulated asset, in your accumulated wealth, in your accumulated investment may take quite some time. But there are some important things that happen once you hit a million. And remember, we have said hitting a million in your accumulated savings, in your investment, doesn't make you a millionaire. And that is a time where attitude is key. If you start adopting that mindset of a millionaire and adopt a lifestyle of a millionaire, you quickly become poor again. But hitting a million, you have just begun your journey of creating a millionaire. You'll be a millionaire once your accumulated assets, once your investment starts generating income that is equal or more than a million. But the amounts that you are investing, hitting a million doesn't make you a millionaire. But the importance of a million mark is that at that point, chances are that the money that you have already assembled, this investment that you have built to a million, will start working harder than you. How do we establish that one? You look at the amount that a million is able to generate as a return, and we use the same rate of 10%. That will give you 100,000 in a year, translating to the neighborhood of 9,000, 8,000 or so, close to 10,000 on a monthly basis, way more than what you were investing for those years on a monthly basis in that investment. So at a point whereby the investment now generates more than you are putting in. And that is the beginning of freedom. That is the beginning of freedom, where your investments are doing more than you are doing yourself. Meaning that over time, there is now a clear possibility that your assets can replace you in generation of your income. You can clearly tell that at your given chosen number, your total assets, your wealth will confidently or comfortably replace you from generation of active income, then bring you to a point of rest, a point of freedom, a point where you can do just what you want, what you get happy doing. But you don't have to break a sweat to cater for your bills. But the wealth now works for you, generating passive income. Passive income because it is being generated by somebody else. It is being generated from another system that doesn't rely on you 100%, as opposed to your early years when you were building the investment, where you had to do all the work to feed your bills. This time around, it is your assets that you build that are doing the work to feed your bills. That is where the freedom. So freedom, you may start feeling it from their millionth mark going forward. The other important thing is the level of confidence that comes into you as an investor once you hit that a million, once the money starts working harder than you. You are confident now that things gonna get better. Then that is freedom. There is nothing else to call financial freedom. Financial freedom will come at a time whereby the amount of assets that you have built are generating more than you are putting in. That is the beginning. And therefore, a million mark may not be or may not represent all of us, but is a good example to look at. If a person who is earning higher levels of income and putting more money, their millionth mark is just an example. But there is that amount of money that once you have assembled such kind of an investment that is generating more money than you are putting in, that is the beginning for that investor in financial freedom. And that is where you start feeling financial freedom. The other important, very important thing that happens once you hit that point, a million, where your investments are generating more money than you are putting in, where your money starts working harder than you, is that you will have acquired momentum. Momentum drawn from physics is where speed, velocities depend on weight, mass, what has been accumulated. And we use the snowball in explaining the momentum. But in an African setup, we can use the dung beetle to explain about the momentum. As the dung ball increases in size, acquiring surface, any roll of that ball acquires much more dung onto itself. A snowball, once you roll that ball, as it increases in size, is able to pick more snowflakes. Once you have built your investment, your savings up to $1 million mark, that point where the money starts working harder than you. The amount of money, the returns that this money is able to generate is sizable enough that it now makes, or it now, from that point, your net worth starts to skyrocket. At the point of 500,000, our net worth started accelerating. But at the million mark, where our returns are more than what we were putting in, at that point, our net worth starts to skyrocket. And that is one of the key elements for hitting a million mark. And I would want also to repeat that the millionth mark is just an example, and it could vary in actual determination for different investors. But for majority of investors, the millionth mark is the most crucial mark in your investment. And it's also important when you look at your age in determination of the millionth mark. The freedom number, there are so many factors that may determine that one, but we already have a legal freedom number of 60 years. Once you have hit 60 years in employment, you are bound to retire, whether you like it or not. That is a set legal freedom number, a point where to retire, you rest from active work, generation of active income. And at that point, we expect you have amassed enough assets to feed you, to support your lifestyle, to support your aspirations and your legacy. The assets that you have amassed by the time you're acquiring your freedom number, which now we can substitute to your retirement number. At the point where you should rest, you have chosen to rest from active generation of incomes to reliance of passive incomes from my investments. It can be any number. You can choose to retire at 30, at 40, at 50, but you are assured of a legal freedom number of 60 years, whether you prepared yourself or not. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.